Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxson here with you, your host. And before I bring Aaron in to start our show for this week, I just wanted to again thank you all for joining us. And I want to talk about some friends of the show here. If you are a collector like me, you are definitely going to want to check out these Facebook groups. If you collect action figures, etc., check out one of them, which is called The Era. The Era is an awesome group. Some friends of mine, Mr. Archie Mitchell, Mr. Dave Duncan, Mr. Patrick Mansonetti, taking care of you with wrestling talk. It's a community. They also have raffles where you can win Hasbro figures, WWE Elites, different things like that. People also sell, so you don't get scalped by fuckers on eBay. Sell items on the page, on the group, to each other, fellow collectors. And I really appreciate those guys, great guys over at The Era. Join that Facebook group. And another one I want you to join is The Asylum. David Gold, Nick Francis, John the Magic Man, Majewski, I can't say the last name. Those guys. Also, Hasbro's. Also, WWE Elites. Also, many, many different kinds. Also, belts. Nick Francis with the belts. Anything you want to collect, you can get hooked up with these raffles. And again, they're great communities, these two pages. Wrestling fans, fellow wrestling collectors, taking care of each other. A brotherhood, if you will. So, I cannot recommend these two Facebook pages enough. I am a member myself. Many collectibles in my house have been won in some of these raffles on these pages. These guys are good guys, very reputable. Never going to screw you over, always going to have good packaging, always going to get mailed to you with care, and if you're a collector, like I said, like me, The Era, The Asylum, two great Facebook groups to be a part of. So check them out today. Do not hesitate. There could be a great raffle going on right now that you're missing to get some stuff. Get a $50, $60, $200, $300 figure for $5 in a raffle. I mean, it's a great concept, and both of these pages, The Era and The Asylum, doing a great job. I appreciate you guys. You guys rock, and thanks for rocking with me. And let's get this party started now with the We Can't Wrestle podcast. All right, wrestling fans, and welcome to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate and Aaron are here with you for another less than 2 hours, right?
Yeah, we're gonna try. It might be a little, 2 and some change.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I apologize to everyone right off the bat for my audio sounding like I'm calling in from a bombing scene in Afghanistan or something to CNN, but
You're like Lee Marshall. You're on the road.
Here we got some weasel soup. Oh, the weasel jokes.
Bobby would just be like, why is that guy such a dick to me?
Yeah, why does he hate me so fucking much?
I haven't done anything to him.
Stagger Lee Marshall.
That was my favorite part of it. That usually Bobby would no sell people hating on him, But like Lee Marshall would talk some shit, and Bobby would just be like, "What? What did I ever
What
do
did
to him?"
What did I ever do to Lee Marshall?
Yeah.
And Lee Marshall was probably drunk at the time too, but heard he was a party animal.
And so was
Lee
Bobby.
Marshall.
They probably drank a lot together.
With Mean Gene. Short arms, deep pockets. It's a great joke. Well, this week's show is going to feature...
Heard you have them alligator arms there, Bobby.
This week's show is going to feature a top 10. We're going to talk underrated tag teams on this week's show, so I'm very much looking forward to that one. And I'm actually posting right now fan interaction for the page. See if we get... we always record late. So, we probably don't get the interaction we could if we recorded at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but we both have real jobs. So...
Yeah.
So have you watched Raw this week?
I have not.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. Raw was distinctly very... I would say out of 10, I would give this week's Raw an 8.5, and I haven't given a Raw a score like that in quite a while. It was pretty good.
I am probably going to watch it tomorrow after I get off of work. That's the goal anyway.
The show was good. It's a big week for wrestling right now. I mean, I know we don't talk about the modern product. It's a big week for wrestling, though. I mean, you got the Wednesday Night Wars starting up with NXT and AEW. SmackDown goes live on Fox this Friday. The AEW, unfortunately, I won't be able to say a lot about their show on this show because I am a cord cutter. I don't have cable. And AEW, apparently, for as modern a product as they are and being associated with a huge billionaire and a huge TV conglomerate, does not have a way that I can stream their show. And I'm not going to pay for cable and TNT just to watch AEW's show.
Just buy TNT's Amazon package if they have one of those. That'd be extra $5.99 a month or something.
Yeah, maybe. I'll see highlights and stuff and see if the show intrigues me enough to do that. But
You
I don't know.
like my Amazon add-on idea? Sorry. Maybe I'll DVR it and review it.
I would like that. I would like to have an Aaron review of the AEW show.
Because I've tried to be not an AEW hater, okay? Because I was telling myself I'm not going to judge them until they get, I've said this on here before, I'm not going to judge them until they get a TV show. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm also, when I watch it, I've decided I'm not going to judge them until, January.
Right.
I hate when people watch something for the first time and just go, that was terrible. That was that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that. Because if you go to 1993 and you watch the first 2 months of Raw,
they were getting their footing.
Cool.
Yeah, they were getting their footing. They were figuring it out.
Yeah, it was cool when it first started because it was a novel concept and it was live. But you watch it now, there's episodes of that show that are fucking terrible because they're trying to figure out what it was.
It's funny you mentioned that. You know what the craziest thing to me, and it's funny now in hindsight. Back then, I didn't really think a lot about it, obviously, because we didn't have Raw as we know it now yet. But one of the funniest things about when you watch those first few months of Raw is think about how big a deal the Raw after WrestleMania is now. And that probably, I would say that started, the Raw after WrestleMania being a huge deal, probably started in either 97 or 98. But you watch that first year of Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania is a taped Raw. It's got like boring squash matches. I don't even think they mention WrestleMania, or they don't mention the results. I don't think. It's crazy, like, to think about it in hindsight.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm not gonna judge them off their first show, unless like their opening match is like
Pockets,
like Orange Cassidy versus like Joey Janela. We'll be like, really? That's what you're doing?
This is what you're presenting, is, you know, because Nitro. Yeah. Say what you want about Nitro, but Nitro presented us with Pillman and Liger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a prime example too. Like I know you're not like a huge WCW fan, but Nitro was cool. You know,
it was intriguing. Yeah, like
But Nitro got cool in like '96.
Yeah.
Like from September to December, Bischoff was trying to figure out what he had. Okay, this is what people like. This is what people don't like. This is why they're switching. This is why they're staying. I got my footing, and I know it got really cool when the NWO showed up, but it was starting to get even better before, you know, Scott Hall came out.
Now, see, here's my thing about Nitro. Let's talk about Nitro before May of '96 when Scott Hall comes out. It's funny to me because it seems like Nitro gets off to this hot start, and then, you know, you have the cartoony shit with the Dungeon of Doom and all that stuff going on. But whatever, it was still giving you something different from what the norm that the WWF had presented was. But it's funny to me because when I watch a Nitro in April and May of '96, or I watch WCW in April or May of '96, I can't even fathom how shitty it would have been had the NWO angle not started. Because it was starting to get pretty, I don't know, it was just getting monotonous and silly and boring. And I think that the NWO obviously jump-started everything. But it's interesting to think of what might have been, like Nash and Hall stay with the WWF. You know, could Nitro have sustained without the NWO, or would we even have had a Monday Night War?
Possibly not, but also...
It just seemed like Nitro was losing steam. I don't know, it just seemed to me like they were losing steam before the NWO hit.
I mean, you could also say the same thing for... And there's good matches on it and everything, but like the 1995 era of Raw.
Yeah.
It was pretty lackluster.
Yeah, it was pretty abysmal. But then you get into '96, and, you know, stuff starts...
It's because somebody started chomping at Vince's heels. He needed it.
Stuff starts heating up, and it was a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And I hope that AEW does well, and I hope that this is... I think it's going to be... I mean, you know, WWE is putting NXT up against AEW. So they obviously see them as a bit of a, if not a threat, at least a nuisance.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, like you said. I mean, you said give it a chance till January, or don't make an opinion till January. That's my thing on it, is I want to see how things flesh out. Is AEW going to be a billionaire pet project that he gets bored with and it phases out, or are they going to learn lessons? And because, I mean, I agree with Jim Cornette. You're not going to make money on TV wrestling with pockets, you know. But if they can figure out what works and what doesn't, and be an alternative to the WWE, that's the most important thing. Don't, you know, that whole Cody Rhodes with the throne and the hammer thing, that's very WWE. That's, you know, you're telling me you're something different, but you're not presenting me something different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope that they figure it out. I really do. And that there's guys on that roster I really like. I really like Cody Rhodes. You know, everybody knows I love Chris Jericho. I really like Adam Page. I'm not a Kenny Omega fan. I'm not a Young Bucks fan, but and Dean Ambrose. I'm sorry, John Moxley. They have some good talent on that roster, and I wish them all the best. I think SCU, they're fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and I think like Kenny Omega. Okay, I don't know a lot about. I haven't seen a lot of Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I think if I've seen enough of him that if he would decide to not try to be 100% what he is, he could probably be like a television star. Like if he would alter his style a little bit and not try to be, I'm going to go out there and have like a video game match all the time.
Right. And you know,
and maybe save that for like a big show or something. He would probably be tolerable. You know what I mean? Like I would compare it to like I don't watch a lot of WWE right now. I'm trying to get back into it, but I'd compare Kenny Omega to like a Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would watch a Ricochet match and be like, that was really cool, but I wouldn't want to watch that every week. I would want to watch that guy do that maybe at like the matches he was having when he was on the Indies or whatever. I'd maybe want to see him do that at SummerSlam, but I might not want to watch that on a Monday Night Raw.
Right.
And I think Omega has the ability to scale that back if the right person tells him, hey, you have to scale this back.
I liken Kenny for me personally, this is just from my own personal, for me, the person that Kenny Omega is to me, as far as my fan interest goes, okay, is, to me, he's Sting. And that's for me personally. And here's why I say that. Because for me personally, I was never a huge fan of Sting. But I respected the fact, or I acknowledged the fact that Sting had talent and charisma, and Sting could have good matches, entertaining matches for me with the right opponent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of... I didn't really care for the Kenny Omega-John Moxley match. To me, it didn't mesh, it didn't work. But I do like a lot of what Kenny Omega did with Okada in the match. Kenny he's like Sting. He rubs me the wrong way, in a way. But there's times where I don't... I don't hate his stinking fucking guts. You know, I hate the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks are hot garbage. They look like trash. Their shtick sucks. They're spot monkeys. They're not wrestlers. Omega can wrestle.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks are like the anorexic Hardys.
Well, the one looks like Mike Tenay. It's like, you can't be a Young Buck if you have a 5 head. And I don't like the Young Bucks either. And that's my thing about Kenny Omega is, I know there's a lot of like hate that people try to put on him and everything, but nobody can tell me that Kenny Omega isn't talented.
Right.
I just think like if you would put like a if you would have somebody like a Kenny Omega go in there with somebody like a Chris Jericho that could slow him down and be like, look, we're going to tell a logical story and a logical match, I think it could be really good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I have seen Kenny Omega matches that I didn't hate. But I've also seen Roman Reigns matches that I didn't hate. Omega is... I guess my thing about Omega is I think that... And it's, again, wrestling's art. It's subjective. It's personal preference. If you are out there and you are listening and you were Kenny Omega's biggest fan, fucking good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go for it. I mean, there's enough fucking wrestling to go around for all of us. There's a lot of product out there. Hey, have at. But
for everybody that loves Kenny Omega, there's at least, say there's 10 people that like Kenny Omega or love Kenny Omega, there's going to be 10 people that don't understand why I enjoy Dean Malenko.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Dean Malenko had, like, me, I'm going to say, oh, Kenny Omega does this video game wrestling and I don't like it. Well, those people are going to be like, well, Dean Malenko had no personality, was always stone-faced, and did a bunch of mat wrestling, and it was boring.
And
like, well, I enjoy that, and you enjoy video game wrestling.
And I can do you one better on that. People can shit on me harder than they can shit on you. They can shit on you for Dean Malenko, but they can really shit on me and be like, what the fuck do you like the Warlord for? I don't know. I just do.
Because he looks cool.
Yeah.
You know? He had like a silver mask and a fucking staff.
Like I remember back in the day when he split off singles and got with Slick. Like I was probably the only guy that was like, man, I want a Hogan Warlord feud. Yeah. It probably would have been terrible.
or even this, okay? Oh, you like Kenny Omega? You suck. Like somebody's like, oh fuck you, you like Kenny Omega. Like, how can I look at somebody and be like, fuck you, you like Kenny Omega? Okay? Mm-hmm. But then I'm sitting there being like, dude, the Honky Tonk Man was the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to compare athleticism, you couldn't even say, you know, you couldn't even compare, like, a Kenny Omega to Wayne Ferris.
Right. I mean, oh yeah.
But I'm a bigger Honky Tonk Man fan than I am Kenny Omega. But Honky Tonk Man ain't gonna give me a 5-star match. So how can I judge somebody for liking Kenny Omega when I'm a fucking Honky Tonk Man fan?
And also, who are we to say what is a 5-star match? That's the other thing too about that. Like, a 5-star match, you know, star ratings, etc., etc. You know, we joke around when we're talking on the show, and we give, you know, something for Jeff Farmer yeps or whatever. But in reality, Dave Meltzer or Wade Keller or anybody that does the wrestling newsletter or what have you, giving a match a star rating, is that, how relevant is that in real life? There's somebody, they probably live in Argentina or something. There is somebody on this planet that was Giant Gonzalez's biggest fan. And for that person and their entertainment, which is what wrestling is entertainment. For their entertainment, that would make Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker at WrestleMania 9 a 5-star match. It wasn't to me. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, to that person,
I know what you're saying.
That person,
or even to the audience that it's in front of. Like, if you go off like entertainment value and story, like, let me ask you this: have you ever seen a match with Hulk Hogan that you would consider a 5-star match?
In America?
Yeah.
No. I've seen what I can consider. Okay.
Let me do this. Have you ever seen a Ultimate Warrior match that you would say is a 5-star match?
Personally, no. Yes. Yes, I have.
Other than his match with Randy Savage.
No.
Alright, just forget that one for my fucking point. But could you say for the story that the two men told in the match and the crowd reaction and the end result, you can't say Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6 wasn't a 5-star match.
When I was 11 years old, that was the biggest fucking shit in the world.
There you go.
Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, both titles. What?
Yeah, and at the end of it, the people lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was it a Matt classic? Absolutely not. But if you would go off of the story that went into it, the execution of the match, and then the reaction of the ending of the match, that's a 5-star match.
Absolutely. And you know what I'll say about that match, too, is that match, honest to God, that match is a match that anybody who, you know, you've got your wrestling critics that like to shit all over Hulk Hogan, that obviously ignore what he could actually do in the ring, that have not watched him in Japan. But you watch that match, and if any match he ever had should ever let you know that Hulk Hogan was not a one-trick pony. Hulk Hogan was a one-trick pony in that Hulk Hogan knew that this shit's making money and I'm not getting injured. So why would I do more? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Hulk Hogan wasn't a one-trick pony. That match in and of itself proves that Hulk Hogan was a good... he wasn't just a sports entertainer. He was a good professional wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, bell to bell. Just like
and that's my point.
You make reference to all the time his match with Harley Race. What the fuck? It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
And what dictates a 5-star fucking match? What dictates any star match? Like...
There are plenty of matches that Dave Meltzer has given 5 stars to, or that Wade Keller has given 5 stars to, or whatever he rates it, that I've thought were not that great. They bored me, or whatever. You know?
Like, I'll put it this way, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, okay, at WrestleMania 12, they have a 60-minute Iron Man match. Mm-hmm. All right, I enjoy that match. I really, really like that match, okay? To me, that's probably the best Iron Man match there's ever been. And one of the things I like about it is that they went away from one of the things that I hate about an Iron Man match, is that you have this Iron Man match and this guy gets pinned. There's multiple pins in an Iron Man match, okay?
Right.
So say there's a 45-minute Iron Man match. The guy gets pinned like 4 times. Well, these two guys also had like a 20-minute match, and they only got pinned once.
Right.
You get where I'm going with that?
Yes.
What I really, really liked about Shawn and Bret was they went 60 minutes, and there wasn't a pin. So then they get to the 60 minutes, and then Monsoon comes out and goes, "Oh no, we must have a winner." And then Shawn sneaks in the super kick and pins Bret quick. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. That's believable to me that Bret Hart, as a person, as a man, went the 60 minutes and then and then was like, "Hey, I went the 60 minutes. This is done." It's believable.
He let his guard down.
Yeah, he let his guard down. Gets kicked in the face, and Shawn pins him 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. That's believable to me. Okay? I love that fucking match. Love it. But, excitement-wise, if you would compare the 60-minute Iron Man match Sean and Brett, and then you would tell me, okay, which is a more exciting match to you? Sean Brett going in a 60-minute Iron Man match, which is a fucking classic, or the Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. You can only pick one of these as your favorite. You know what I'm going to pick?
Warrior Hogan?
Warrior fucking Hogan.
Well, and I didn't know where you were going, but what I was going to comment to that was, all right, I am also a fan of the Bret Hart-Shawn Michaels Iron Man match. However, excitement-wise, because Bret and Shawn, they slowed down a lot. You know what I mean? And there wasn't a lot of bells and whistles and blah, blah, blah. But I would say their match was probably overall, wrestling-wise, the best Iron Man match. But the most exciting Iron Man match is Triple H and The Rock. Judgment Day.
Yeah, because they have all kinds of bells and whistles to it.
Yes, it's more fast-paced. There's more finishes. There's bells and whistles. Undertaker returns. Blah blah blah. So again, it's all about, okay. In that moment, was I caught up in that match? You're goddamn right I was. So on that night, was that a 5-star match? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just you're right. It's all subjective. Every bit of it is subjective. Dave Meltzer, Wade Keller, all these other pundits, they aren't an authority on what you find entertaining, and don't listen to them. Watch it and make your own opinion.
Yeah, and I think that is a lot of it's a lot of what happens with the internet fans and internet critics. They glom on to what, and it's fine, but they glom on to what somebody that they enjoy listening to says.
I don't know if you saw it or not, but I just posted in the that we've talked about the page and Barry Rose's Championship Wrestling from Florida reunion and everything, so it's not a big spoiler here, but I just posted the other day, or yesterday I think, in the Breaking Kayfabe Facebook group. I don't understand guys that feel the need, you talked about internet guys, I don't understand the guys that feel the need that when you're having a conversation on the internet about WWE with people that like WWE, I mean, I like WWE. Not everything they do. I shit on them on my own podcast, but that's my own forum. But my point is, these guys that come into these conversations about WWE just to tell you they don't like WWE. Like, well, what the fuck are you in this conversation for then? Go away. If the conversation is, what's wrong with WWE, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? If the original post is, hey, WWE sucks, what's wrong with it? Then let's talk. But when we're having a discussion about WWE and you come in and just go, well, I haven't watched Raw in 10 years because WWE sucks ass. Well, nobody needed your unsolicited fucking opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it's fuck off.
Why does it suck ass? And then they're like, well, Dave Meltzer told me so.
Do you see what I'm saying, though? Like, what? I don't understand those guys. Like, what a waste of your time to talk about something you apparently hate. Go away.
I completely agree.
Go to the New Japan discussion thread. You know what I mean? I don't particularly think New Japan's as good as people say it is. Does it have good matches? Yeah. I mean, but it's not, to me, it's not the end-all, be-all of fucking professional wrestling. It's just not my... I will watch New Japan stuff when I hear that it's cool and check it out and see if I like it or not. But I don't always see what these guys see in Japanese wrestling other than the fact that they just want to be the guy that says, I like Japanese wrestling. I don't know.
Another thing I'm looking forward to, and then I'm going to pee.
Yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay, well, we're taking a break now.
We'll take a break when you're done with your thought here. And then we'll do our top 10s.
We'll do what? Sorry?
Our top 10s.
Okay. and then we'll bullshit through the 500 till we're tired.
Probably.
Okay. What I'm looking forward to, more so than fucking NXT being 2 hours on USA, more so than AEW, and more so than Fox SmackDown. Which you said you watched Raw?
Yes.
They had a new commentary team, which I understand.
Yes,
Vic
Joseph's really good.
Is he?
Yes, he did the
Because I know he was on the 205 Live.
Yeah, he did the last two NXT UK pay-per-views also. Vic Joseph. Okay, you got your Michael Cole. All right.
I like Michael Cole.
Well, I do too. No.
But, Michael Cole.
No. But what I'm saying is, you have Michael Cole, and then throughout the years we've had our Byron Sextons and our Tom Phillipses, and they're always trying to find their next guy.
Yeah.
Vic Joseph to me is that guy. He is, to me. I actually like Vic Joseph better than I like Mauro Ranallo, because to me Mauro Ranallo screams too much. I like Mauro Ranallo. Don't get me wrong. But to me, he screams too much. I don't know. Mauro Ranallo's funny because he's like the bastard child of Jim Ross and Don West. But I really like that Vic Joseph guy. That other guy, that Dio Madden, can go away. He can go away. He contributes nothing. He's kind of garbage.
Is he the other commentator then?
Yes. I don't know his story. I don't know a lot about him, but he can go home.
Is it just those two, or is Renee Young on there too?
No, Jerry Lawler.
Oh, Jerry Lawler.
Yes. If it was just Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler, I think Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler, just the two of them, would be a great
Jerry
two-man
Lawler
team.
Allowed to be Jerry Lawler?
He was kind of sort of this week. Actually, as a matter of fact, if you listen to the commentary this week really good, he actually led. You know what I mean? Like, he led the team. He led those guys.
I know, but was he allowed to make Jerry Lawler jokes?
He made a couple.
Okay. Because Jerry Lawler jokes are the best. And my saddest part about Jerry Lawler is that I think whenever they have him on, I honestly think Jerry Lawler's not a fan of what's in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
Lawler sucks now. It's like no, Jerry Lawler doesn't suck. What's in front of him sucks.
This week's show has a lot more edge. It has a lot more excitement to it. It's a lot less sanitized, and you can tell Lawler likes it. It's to your point, what you were saying. You can tell that Jerry Lawler liked what he was watching this week.
And I know you're not a fan of him, but it's like I always said about because I like Tony Schiavone, and I like Schiavone.
Yes.
But 1999 through 2001, Tony Schiavone is what a lot of people remember or whatever. But it's you can't judge Tony Schiavone off of that because he had to sit through 1999 through 2001 WCW. Of course he's gonna suck. What's in front of him sucks. You know what I mean?
What is there to enjoy?
And that's what I thought about Jerry Lawler after 2005. He's gonna suck because what's in front of him is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But what were we? Oh, I was saying that AEW's coming on, all this shit. What I'm excited about is, and I saw that it's going to be on Fight TV when they actually start
MLW's pay-per-view?
No.
Oh, because that's what I'm excited about.
What I'm excited about is that Billy Corgan's NWA is going to be on Fight TV.
Doing
and I saw
wrestling.
Pictures.
Me too.
I saw pictures of
Badass.
what people are posting, and it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, what I really want them to do is, I know having the set like that, and the flags and everything is nostalgia. That's cool if they do that the first couple weeks. but this might sound stupid. I don't want it to be complete nostalgia.
Right.
The first couple of weeks would be cool, but then I really hope that the NWA keeps the studio wrestling vibe, but gives it its own look.
Yeah, its own new twist.
Yeah, like, don't rely on just having the flags and the guys in the blazers and all that shit, because then it becomes hokey.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes... We can't think of anything other than what somebody did before. You know, and that's the thing that bugs me a little bit about AEW. Like, they wanted to be like, oh, we're AEW Dynamite, and they had like their thing that looked like the Nitro set. It's like, or the Nitro, graphic
logo,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but pick 2 or 3 things that worked in the past, but then make it your own thing.
Yes.
I don't want everything to be a fucking throwback. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Put your own spin on... That's what wrestling is. Put your own spin on a classic. I mean, it's like Raven said. There's 7 wrestling storylines.
Carbon copy.
Right. It's like Raven said. There's 7 wrestling storylines. You just put your own spin on that storyline.
Yeah. But just don't make it look exactly like... Like, I don't need fucking... Tom Lawler cutting the same exact promo that Ole Anderson cut in front of the same set. Make it original. Eventually.
I don't need Tom Marquez to go ahead, kiss her on the mouth. So anyway, the last thing I want to say before we go to break, actually with Tom Marquez, it'd be like kiss her on the mouth. I'm really nervous. The last thing I wanted to discuss, I jumped the gun when you referred to the NWA. I subscribed to the WWE Network in 2014, the day it launched. I have not paid cash money for a pay-per-view since. So just to show you the interest that I have in this promotion, and everybody knows because I've talked about it ad nauseum, how much I love MLW. MLW's pay-per-view in November is going to be the first wrestling pay-per-view that I have bought in over 5 years. I'm excited for it. I love that fucking promotion. Like, to me, they're the little engine that could, in this whole big fucking wrestling thing, this boom or whatever we're about to embark on. MLW is still my favorite promotion, man. I love MLW. And I'm going to buy their pay-per-view. They're going to get my fucking money,
Well, from what I've watched of it, I enjoyed it, and I will buy a pizza and come over and watch it with you.
That's cool. That's cool. It's reasonably priced.
I didn't buy the pay-per-view, but I brought over 8 slices. Let's watch this shit.
Well, that being said, we'll take a break, because apparently Aaron has to pee, and so do I.
What are they called? That group with Joseph Fatu?
The Cartel?
Yeah. Or, is it Cartel?
No, it's not Cartel. I fucking brain farted. Contra. I said Cartel. It's Contra. Contra unit.
And I like that. I like MJF and all those guys. They're cool.
Yeah, I like MLW's presentation. It's a good 1-hour wrestling show.
Teddy Hart pissed on that guy's jacket.
Oh man, funny shit. And it's funny shit. It's not crappy WWE comedy either. It's like, it's actually like, well, I mean, the Harts are funny anyway, and Brian Pillman Jr. and Tom Lawler, and I mean, it's before he went to ROH, which is dying a slow, horrible death. I quit watching that promotion 6 months ago. Before he went to them at PCO, that's where Carl Ouellet got his new lease on life, was in the MLW. So, but anyway, we'll take a break. And when we come back, we will have our top 10s. We're going to talk top 10 underrated tag teams on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I have gotten a couple of responses on the Facebook page too. Don't worry, guys. We will mention your suggestions as well. And we'll be right back after this with more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate and Aaron here with you. We're going to discuss underrated tag teams in wrestling history here in just a moment, but just want to get these shameless plugs in first. Don't forget that you, if you like this podcast and you want to listen to a non-wrestling podcast, you can listen to one that involves my wife, Aaron's sister-in-law, Kendall, the Motley Soup podcast, which Aaron constantly reminds me he has not been invited on yet.
Yep. Won't listen to it until I'm a guest.
That's bullshit.
It's not bullshit. You've known me for 36 years.
It's like Hogan saying, it's not going to work for me, brother.
You have known me for 36 years.
Shit. But anyway, you can find...
I am a egotistical. I shouldn't say egotistical.
Motley.
I am a very me-centric person.
Motley Soup, Motley Soup podcast, and that is available just like this one on any podcast app that you listen to. You can also listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play, and just like this one. If you don't want to download it to a podcast app, we are now available on Spotify. The last plug I want to give, well, actually, second to last plug. First, the next one I want to give is if you're not a member of our Facebook group, get in the group, join the fun, talk some wrestling. You can interact with the show, and invite your friends to join the group. We appreciate your support, and we would appreciate their support. And the last thing I want to talk about, Aaron, our good friend, Barry Rose, who hosts another great podcast, the Breaking Kayfabe with Bowdrin and Barry podcast, which is fantastic, and you should absolutely check it out. November 9th, 2019, Aaron, I don't know if you and I will be able to attend because we both work retail, and it is the holidays, and who's got money to go to Florida? But if you do have the money to go to Florida, then you can attend on November 9th. It's the CWF Championship Wrestling for Florida Legends Fan Fest.
Yes. I might start selling drugs now so we can go.
Hey. Well, it's going to be it's going to be a town I think has a funny name. Lutz, Florida. Lutz.
Yeah, okay. I'll say this. When I said that I was, not an egotistical person, I thought about this by myself the other day, and I even posted it on my personal Facebook page. It was, I'd rather be single than happy than in a relationship where I have to share my thoughts and pizza for my entire existence. Being in a relationship is just, it's daunting.
It can be if you're not in a relationship with the right person.
Well, hey, even if it's the right person, it's you know what? I'm just trying to watch Dexter. I don't want to talk to you about how I feel. Or I'm just trying to eat my pizza. I don't want to tell you how this pizza makes me feel.
Before you expound on that more, let's get back to Lutz, Florida.
Okay, sorry.
The Marriott Residence Inn in Lutz, Florida, off the Suncoast Parkway. I like that Barry limits the tickets to 150 tickets to the show because it gives you, the wrestling fan, just so much more of an opportunity to have a one-on-one personal interaction with the legends of wrestling. Like the guys that are going to be at this Fan Fest: Barry Windham, J.J. Dillon, Rocky Johnson, Dutch Mantell, Kendall Windham, Tony Gurria, and many more are going to be at this show. So if you are in the Florida area or you can make it to Florida on November 9th to join this show, it is going to be awesome. Barry Rose putting on the CWF Legends Fan Fest. You can get tickets at eventbrite.com. Just go to that website and search for CWF Legends Fan Fest 6. And Aaron will attest, Barry's a good dude, and he's one of those guys promoting an event that is not gonna fuck you over with his event. That's for sure.
He's also a cool dude because if you're on his group pages and you got a question for him or you want to ask him, can I do this or can I do that on your page, he actually answers you back.
Yes. He's not in the air up there.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
So like I said, if you have the opportunity on November 9th, 2019, check out eventbrite.com, search for CWF Legends Fan Fest, and get a ticket to this show. I think it's going to be awesome. That being said, Aaron, do you have anything you want to talk about before we get into our top 10 this week?
Just pick 3 numbers.
3 numbers.
1 through 500.
We're going back to the PWI 500. What year is that from?
It's 92.
19 and 92, and my first number I'm going to pick is 272.
272.
Yes, sir.
272 is Super Destroyer number 2.
Super Destroyer number 2. Is this the ECW or the TWA Super Destroyer number 2?
Yes. He's 6'7", he weighs 339 pounds. He's been in the business for 3 years, and in 1991 he was not listed. He's an amazing athlete. ... See him lumbering to the ring. You'd never guess he could do cartwheels and flips off the ropes. Super Destroyers are ECW Tag Team Champions, and they're managed by Hunter Q. Robinson.
The third.
Or as Terry Funk called him, Hunter Q. Robbins the Turd.
Are you a sissy?
Are you a sissy?
Do you know what I think of?
Hunter Q. Robbins the Turd.
Do you know what I think of when I see that incarnation of the Super Destroyers, the TWA/ECW incarnation?
What's that?
Boy, you got a panty on your head. I think of Raising Arizona, because they look like they got a penny on their head.
They got a penny on their head.
How many more numbers am I picking here before we get into our top 10?
2 or 3, you decide.
Let's go with number 110.
110.
In the 1992 PWI 500.
110
Modern wrestling fans have no idea the impact of the PWI 500 back in the day. But anyway, go ahead.
Kanoka. I'm sure I mispronounced it.
How is that spelled?
Huh?
How is that spelled?
Kokina.
Kokina. Is it Yokozuna?
Yes, it is.
Yokozuna.
And at this time, he was 6'3", 340 pounds. He had been in the business for 8 years, and in 1991, He was ranked 148. The biggest Samoan wrestler ever. ... Has entered the WWF with many of his Samoan relatives. Has been a major star in Japan and Mexico. Incredible Big Smash lays out foes. In like less than a year, this guy was like the biggest dude in the WWF.
Yes.
Not saying size-wise, saying like,
and rightfully so. Like if there was ever
Yokozuna
a guy,
was
if there was ever a guy that deserved to ascend as quickly as he did, it was him. Like, I mean, from 1993 till probably, or I don't know, from 1992 until probably when he left for a while at the end of '94 after the Undertaker feud.
Yoko was the shit.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the team with Owen Hart really, you know, I mean, it kept his career alive, being able to do that when he had gained so much more weight and couldn't move like he could. But you go back and you watch Yoko or Kokina or whatever, you go back and watch him from, you know, '88 until probably late '94. That dude was up there with Bam Bam and Vader as probably the best big men in the business.
Like a guy that big had no right moving like he did.
Absolutely not.
He had great matches with Brett.
He had great matches with Brett. He had great matches with Taker.
Yeah.
Fucking dude had a good match with Virgil. I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, even for a squash match, that's a good match. Like, it's fast. You know, it's not plotting. Yeah. It's not plotting. It's not boring. Even the 3.5 or 4 minutes that him and Virgil did was exciting. Like, it was different, especially at that time. It was different. You didn't see a guy that size move like that. Other than like Bam Bam, and Vader wasn't even really exposed on the large stage yet at that point, at least in America. I mean, I'm going to be honest, in 1992 I was not extremely privy to Japanese wrestling. We didn't have fucking high-speed internet back then.
Vader's different than Yoko too, in the fact that this guy that looks like this shouldn't move like this, because even though Vader was big, Vader was muscular fat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yoko was just fat. And he shouldn't have been able to do the shit that he did.
Absolutely not. Like, he was a marvel.
Vader was a big dude, but he looked like an athlete. Yokozuna was a guy that you looked at him and you're like, he's not going to be any good. But then when he went, you were like, holy shit, this guy's fucking amazing.
And the funny thing is, the match that I always point to when I want to talk about Yoko's absolute ability, okay? Because Yoko was in the ring with some of the great workers in wrestling. Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Owen Hart, Randy Savage, the British Bulldog. I'm just saying, like, he was in the ring with some of the great workers in wrestling. However, the match that I can point to that shows you what a great worker he was for the size that he was is the SummerSlam 93 match with Lex Luger. And the reason I say that is because for a man his size, watch that match, know the talent or limited talent that Luger had. Luger had good matches with great wrestlers. He had good matches with Ricky Steamboat. He had great matches with Ric Flair. He had great matches with Bret Hart. He had great matches with Curt Hennig. And he had a great match. Yes, and he had a great match with Yokozuna. In any match that Lex Luger ever had that was great, he was not the leader. I'm just saying. So, that being said, Yokozuna, led that match. And a man that size leading Lex Luger to a great match. Because that match at SummerSlam 93, other than that bogus-ass finish, that silly finish, that's a great match.
Yeah.
That to me, that's the biggest testament to his abilities.
And it goes back to what we were talking about, where what's considered a 5-star match.
Exactly.
Like, if I told you, oh, would you consider Lex Luger versus Yokozuna a 5-star match? No. If you just said Lex Luger and Yokozuna were in it, but then when you watch it, are you entertained?
Thoroughly.
Is the 2,000 or the 20,000 people there into it?
Fuck yeah, they are.
Yeah, fuck yeah, they are. That's a 5-star match. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You want to pick two more numbers.
All right, 2 more numbers. The next number I'll pick is 417.
Oh my god, this is good.
Yeah, we're going deep. Deep cut. It'll be funny if it's like Just Incredible or some shit. Not by that name, but
417.
417. In the 1992 500.
417, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
This is a guy none of us are gonna know. I don't even know this guy. 417
Oof.
was Nick Tarantino.
Didn't he direct Pulp Fiction?
No, that was Tarantino.
I know.
This is his brother, Nick.
Wasn't he in NYPD Blue? Oh, no, that's Nick Turturro.
That was
okay.
Nicholas Turturro. This guy, this Nick Turturro, or Tarantino, is a newcomer.
Nick Turturro, by the way.
Nick Turturro.
Underrated wrestling celebrity, Nick Turturro. That dude loved being at WrestleMania. Like, you watch wrestling. You watch wrestling.
He thought people cheered for him.
Yeah, but listen to me. You watch WrestleMania 11, and like Nick Turturro, like, I don't hate on Nick Turturro, because Nick Turturro generally is enjoying being there. You know what I mean? Like, he's having fucking fun. You can tell he's a wrestling fan.
Even though he looks like a chunky potato.
Tell me about this Nick Tarantino fella.
This Nick Tarantino, he's 6'2", he weighs 230 pounds. He's been in the business 2 years. He wasn't listed in 91.
And probably not in 93 either.
Probably not. He's a newcomer.
And soon he'll be managing a Dairy Queen.
He's a rising sensation in the Maryland area.
So is syphilis.
Yes. His nickname is the Shark.
No comment.
And apparently the reason he's called the Shark is because he's long, lean, and mean. I don't know what the fuck that means. He's considered a contender for several titles. And he also seems to have a long career ahead of him.
So my next pick is number 56.
Sorry, buddy. I'll try to find him on Facebook.
56.
56. Let me get there. Jesus. You let this shit go off the rail with picking that Turno guy.
Nick Tarantino's like, I'm going to be a big star in wrestling. I'm just fucking with you. Which, by the way, is one of my favorite scenes in movie history. David Carradine and Uma Thurman. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you.
I love that fucking scene.
Oh.
You know, Kendall hates those movies.
Huh?
Kendall hates those movies. She hates the Kill Bill movies, and I don't understand why. Like, how do you hate these movies? They're fucking amazing.
I like the one where,
God, I love those movies. I watch them like twice a year just because.
I like the one with the bride when she kills all the little Japanese people in the fucking restaurant or whatever.
That's the second one. See, I watch them as one movie, so I can't. But when I watch them, you know what I mean? When I watch them, I just watch them all together, like as one movie. Yeah. I think that's in the second one. But, God, I love those fucking movies. Anyway, I said 56.
They're not my favorite Tarantino movies.
Oh, no, they're not my favorite Tarantino movies.
I do like that scene where she kills all fucking crazy 88s. Isn't that what they're called?
Yep.
I like that scene where she murders all them and the fucking blood's dripping and shit. That's good stuff.
I like the shit with her and Daryl Hannah in the trailer, too. Like, the second movie's probably the better one just because of all the revenge, because you're watching the movie to see the revenge.
Yeah.
But Carradine's amazing in those movies. But anyway, 56.
56, and then I'll read this one, and then I gotta pee, and then we'll go over our top 10s. How's that sound?
Sounds like a deal.
Alright, number 56. He's got a fanny pack.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I've never met this person, and I never will. Okay? But I know he's got a fanny pack. And he's got a beautiful mullet.
Oh, my.
And a great goatee. You want to make a guess?
Fanny pack, mullet, goatee. 92. Is it Kevin Nash in one of his iterations?
Nope.
DDP?
Nope.
Oh, I'm out.
Make, 2 more guesses.
Fanny pack, goatee. 92.
Flowing mullet.
Flowing mullet. Scott Hall didn't have a goatee. I'm trying to think of fanny pack guys, because everybody had a fucking mullet. Joey Maggs.
Nope.
Tom Zink. What the fuck?
Keep guessing. I'm gonna let this commercial play. And you're gonna say it, you're gonna know who it is.
Tom Zink never had a goatee. Oh, here we go. Jimmy Garvin. All right, cut it off.
Got it?
Is it Jimmy Garvin or Michael Hayes?
Michael Hayes, man. Why would you even say Jimmy Garvin?
I know. Jimmy Garvin never had a...
Jimmy Garvin wasn't even in the Bad Street video.
But I don't remember Michael Hayes having a goatee. You said goatee. I always remember him having like a beard.
He had a goatee.
Like a full beard, like even a chin strap kind of beard. Michael Hayes. Charismatic as fuck.
This is what they said about Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes is one of those guys that not a great wrestler. Let's be honest. You watch Michael Hayes bell to bell, not a great wrestler, but he captivates you anyways. Like, what a charismatic... He's up there in the top 5 to me, charismatic-wise, with Dusty and Hogan.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
With
charisma. The Rock.
With his fabulous mullet and hairy nipples. He brought you in. This is what they said about him. Founding member of the Freebirds. He and Jimmy Garvin have been WCW and WCW US Tag Team Champions, but they're floundering.
They're on Bad Street, baby.
Yes. Famous for his DDT and preposterous moonwalk.
It was a bit preposterous. Who called him the Stay Puft Marshmallow Pimp? Was that The Rock?
That was The Rock.
Michael Hayes, man. He's like Dusty Rhodes, like Mike Tyson said. He's 70s black. I'm just saying, like, Michael Hayes, like I said, to me, Michael Hayes is one of those guys that, honest to God, I'm just not a big fan of in the ring. Like, bell to bell, I'm not a fan. Like, you watch the Freebirds in World Class and even early WCW. He's not the ring guy, but he is the charisma guy. You know, like Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy were 20 times the wrestlers that Michael Hayes was. But Michael Hayes brought that fucking charisma. I mean, he just exudes, like, he sweats charisma. If you could collect his sweat, you could have charisma.
Or chlamydia.
That's a bad street, USA. But yeah, I mean, Michael Hayes, one of the best talkers and one of the most charismatic. I would put him in the... We need to do a top 10 most charismatic. But spoiler alert, he would be up there in my top 5 with charisma. Maybe, again, not ring-to-ring wrestling talent, but charisma. Michael Hayes just exudes wrestling talent. Or charisma. What?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I was just putting the magazine away because we're going to do our top 10 after this, you know?
Yes.
After I pee. And it said 275, which I know you didn't pick. 275 is a wrestler called White Cloud. Okay?
Is that Charlie Norris?
No.
No.
It says 275. And then his description goes, no, not the toilet paper.
Tag
This is a
team.
very fun... Huh?
Tag teams with Charmin in Maryland Independence.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, Charmaine.
Their manager is Angel Soft.
She's pretty.
But it goes, White Cloud. No, not the toilet paper. This very fine Native American competitor who recently captured the IWCCW Tag Team title with Dancing Wolf. Collectively, they're known as the Sioux Warrior Party. I don't know why that was so fun to me.
It is fun, and I really did think that was fucking Charlie Norris, who I call Fatonka.
He was that lazy fucker that...
Whenever I see him, I'm like, oh, look, it's Fat Tonka. Yeah.
Number 500 was Morgus the Maniac.
We already talked about that in a previous podcast, Morgus.
Okay.
So we just talked PWI 500, top 500 from 1992. And now we're going to roll into our top 10 list for this week. It is top 10 underrated tag teams. And we will discuss some picks by some of our listeners as well that have responded to my post on Facebook. So thank you, Ashley J. Smith and Michael Herrick. Aaron, you saw their picks. Are either one of those picks on your list?
No.
So let's discuss those first. Let's get the listeners some attention first. Michael Herrick says, and I didn't think of this team, but he's right, the Southern Boys / Young Pistols.
I did not think of them either, and I should have. That's Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. And they had some phenomenal matches in the beginning of the 90s with the Fabulous Freebirds.
Yes.
There is a really, really, really good match between them and the Freebirds at a Clash of the Champions that's super underrated. It's a great match.
And you know what? To be honest, they did an amazing subtle heel turn too. When they, they just they went from the wild-eyed Southern Boys to the Young Pistols. So they went from the Confederate flag to being from Wyoming, and just kind of almost disowning the Southern heritage in a Southern wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
To something different. And it is, like, if you watch it happen, like if you watch WCW over time and you watch it happen, it's one of the great subtle heel turns ever. Like, and they're both fantastic wrestlers, fantastic workers. Maybe not the greatest promos, but a great call by Michael Herrick there on the Southern Boys, because I totally agree with that, and I kind of wish I would have put them on my list.
Me too.
And the other one is from Ashley J. Smith, who says the Rock and Sock connection. And the only thing I will say to that, Ashley, is I don't know. Those guys get a lot of attention, so I don't know if you'd say they're underrated. I guess as single stars, they get so much attention that maybe the team does get underrated. I don't know. Like, they just had such a charisma together. I'm not disagreeing that they're an underrated tag team. I don't disagree with bringing them up because together they were so entertaining. Rock and Mick Foley, just so entertaining.
I know they were a tag team per se, but they're like a they were never put together to be a tag team,
right?
That was gonna like carry the division. They were more of a tag team that was gonna carry along the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like if you would say, "Oh, the Rock and Sock connection," and I'm not disparaging Ashley's choice. But it would be like, oh, well, okay, the Rock and Sock Connection was an underrated tag team, so are you going to tell me that Steve Austin and Dude Love was an underrated tag team?
Right. There's two singles.
Or Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, because they were the tag team champions. They're an underrated tag team. You know what I mean?
Two main events. Like you said, two main event singles wrestlers put together to advance a singles storyline.
Yeah.
But I will not in any way disagree that they were enter-fucking-taining together.
Oh, they were super entertaining.
I
don't think they're an underrated tag team. I would say the Rock and Sock would maybe be an underrated storyline.
Okay. Because it was kind of near the end of Mick's career.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a good call by Ashley J. Smith there to bring those guys up because it was super entertaining. There's those pairings in wrestling. Hogan Savage, Rock Austin, Cena Edge.
I think it's silly that
Flair Sting. They just have a charisma together that you can't deny.
I think it's silly that Hogan and Savage were never like tag team champions.
I think that comes down to the fact that they weren't together during the era of hotshot booking, where you just change titles willy nilly.
Just from like a Saturday night's main event to a Saturday night's main event.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like why couldn't they have just like had a match? Like, why couldn't have like Hogan and Savage
fought Demolition?
Yeah, fought Demolition and just beat him on like a Saturday night's main event, and they were like tag team champions together for like a hot minute, and then just figure out a way to like drop it back. I don't know. But we can go to our list. The only reason I could say they probably didn't was because like, who gets pinned?
Yeah, well, that, and like I said, it wasn't the age of that type of booking either. Like they didn't cross pollinate a lot the tag team with the singles wrestlers. You know,
like looking back on watching shit, you know what? Like what I thought would have been like a really cool NWA angle would have been.
What's that?
You know when Barry had his U.S. championship?
Right.
And he and Ronnie Garvin were the tag team champions.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Garvin. I misspoke. Ronnie Garvin. Am I saying it right? Ronnie Garvin had a singles title, and then he and Barry won the U.S. Tag Team Championships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So, and then Ronnie Garvin gave up it was the national championship, correct?
Yes.
Ronnie had the national championship. Him and Barry won the tag team championships, and then Ronnie had to give up the national championship or keep the tag team championships. He couldn't have both because the NWA bylaws said this guy can't hold two belts. So Ronnie gave up the national championship, and then they went out and defended the tag team championships against the Midnight Express. What I thought would have been cool, if I ever told this story.
No.
And in my mind, what I thought would have been fucking cool was Ronnie Garvin was like, you know what? I got this national championship, but me and Barry, we have the U.S. Tag Team Championships, and I don't want to take the championship away from Barry, so I'm going to give up my national championship. So he forfeits his national championship, and now he and Barry are the U.S. Tag Team Champions. And Ronnie's given up his national championship. It's going to go into like this tournament, and he can't even join it because he's the United States Tag Team Champion. And tonight, we're going to defend our United States Tag Team Championships against the Midnight Express, which they did on the show. And then as the show goes, guess what happens?
They lose the title.
They lose the fucking titles. And Ronnie Garvin is just like a motherfucker and is super fucking mad and just decks Barry Windham because he's like, you know what? I gave up my meal ticket to all this money because I had this North American championship and I turned it over because me and you were going to be the U.S. champions. And then...
And you would have to have Barry take the pin in that match to chicanery.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Barry had pinned and, like, Ronnie Garvin standing there like, motherfucker, I gave up this fucking national championship so I could be a champion with you because I didn't want you to have to forfeit your title too, and you just got pinned, and then he just decks the fuck out of that guy. And then 2 weeks later, you know who he walks out with?
Jim Cornette.
Jim fucking Cornette. Would have been fucking great.
And I wouldn't have had to listen to Ronnie Garvin talk, so that would have been fucking great. All right, so
Uh,
number 10
I'm sorry.
number 10 on your underrated tag teams list.
High Energy.
Ooh, shit, I wish I would have picked them too. That was a great tag team. Coco pulling his shit up like Urkel. But anyway, no, I mean,
You get past their tights, or not tights.
that was just a joke.
You get past their
I
outfits.
agree with you. That was just a joke.
Fucking Owen Hart and Coco Beware was a good team, man. And the name sounds silly, but they were High Energy.
Yes.
They went out there, they got you going, and they were high flying as fuck. And I really enjoy High Energy, and I don't think
Survivor Series 92, they have a great match with the Head Shrinkers.
Yeah. And I really think Owen Hart and Coco Beware worked well together. And I never saw them have a match that I was like, oh, that sucked.
Right, absolutely. They were very charismatic together, and they fit. It was one of those teams that didn't seem like it would fit, but they fit. So I would definitely say High Energy is up there. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm a High Energy fan. I enjoyed those guys.
So the first one on my list, and I think that one of the reasons that they don't get enough attention, or I would call them underrated, is that they were in a promotion during its dying time, and to me, in that promotion during its dying time, they were the most entertaining thing, and that is the team with their manager of Sherry Martel, of Buddy Rose and Doug Summers.
I've only seen a few matches of them.
I probably, I'd say 15 years ago, I watched their matches with the Midnight Rockers. So then I went back and I YouTubing and et cetera, et cetera. Over time, I've watched a lot of their stuff on YouTube. And as a team, like, I was never a big Buddy Rose fan. And to be honest, until I started looking back on wrestling history, I knew next to nothing about Doug Summers. But at the end of the day, together, they are, with Sherry as a package, they are fucking amazing. Like, they have great promos, they have great matches, and of course everybody, the Midnight Rockers feud is the biggest center of attention, which absolutely it should be. But those guys are terribly underrated. They don't get talked about enough in circles in wrestling history. I think that they are one of the most underrated tag teams ever. If you get a chance to go back and check out their work, I definitely recommend it because definitely underrated. Not in enough conversations as a tag team because of the fact that they were probably the best thing in a promotion that was just fucking dead. I mean, honestly.
All right.
Who you got next?
I know I've obviously seen that Bloodbath of the Showboat.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and I've seen other. I don't know a lot about Doug Summers, but I've seen Buddy Rose stuff. Not just the blow away diet thing, but
yeah,
I've
I was gonna
seen
say,
shit.
but if you
shit with him in like Portland or whatever that I enjoy. So
yeah, if you go back and watch Buddy Rose before he got really obese, like Adrian Adonis, he is like Adrian Adonis. Like before he got really obese, he was really good. Like he wasn't built, he wasn't, you know what I mean? But he was just a great performer, a great promo, a great wrestler.
Look at that.
I liken him to Adrian Adonis. He just let himself go, and
I get mad people are like, "Oh, Adrian Adonis got fat and then he sucked." It's like, no, that guy got fat and was still good.
But he wasn't what he was before he got really fat.
Yeah,
Like
because he wasn't skinny.
Well, right. I'm just
But he
saying,
was
like
still
80,
cool.
83 and 84 Adrian Adonis is much better than 87 Adrian Adonis.
Okay,
I like leather vest Adrian Adonis.
I like Flower Shop Adrian Adonis better than
Yeah,
fucking.
I can't say I do, and I'm a WWF guy, but yeah, I going back in time, and again, going back in time before you really got into wrestling when you're like 4 years old or whatever. I can't. But going back in time and watching it, like I watched leather vest Adrian Adonis, and god damn, he's good, so good. We got off
Okay,
topic.
in the ring maybe, but as like entertaining wise, I enjoy homosexual Adrian Adonis more.
And like we
But
talked about
anyway.
earlier, wrestling is subjective.
Anywho,
Number 9 on your list.
Homo Adonis is better. It's Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart.
Yeah.
I enjoy the shit out of Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart. With fucking Deborah as their manager.
It was a good act. It was like I was talking about with Summers and Rose. It's, you take the whole act together, and it's really good. And they didn't, because of the unfortunate passing of Owen Hart, they didn't even get enough time to show you how great they could be.
But just as an act, as a team, they worked tremendously together. They were a consistent, awesome deal in the Attitude Era together, and I just they were two guys, and it might be stupid, I don't know, but it's two guys that you could tell enjoyed working with each other.
Much like Owen, like Owen and Davey. Like the same kind of dynamic.
Yeah. Like you took a team like Davey Boy Smith and Lex Luger. Okay, on paper, that should be a tremendous team, right?
Yes.
But you put them out there, and they have no chemistry.
None.
Because Davey Boy did not want to work with Lex Luger. And Lex Luger probably didn't want to work with Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah, Lex probably didn't even want to be in a tag team.
But the Allied Powers, on paper, should be fucking amazing. But they were a turd in the punch bowl. Because they didn't want to work together. But Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart wanted to be out there together, worked well as a team, and enjoyed themselves together, and had really good matches, in my opinion, or as good of a match as you can have in the Attitude Era. And I think Owen and Jeff don't get enough attention.
And folks, I'll tell you what, this is a really a testament from Aaron, because he doesn't like Jeff Jarrett.
As a singles wrestler, no, I don't.
And it's one of the benefits of the Attitude Era, I guess. It's one of those things that's a benefit of having such a deep roster, is you can take two really, really good singles wrestlers, because it's so heavy at the top, you know what I mean? So you can take two really good singles wrestlers and put them into this fantastic tag team. And they give them a really shitty match at WrestleMania 15. Not their fault.
Nope.
But anyway. So the next team on my list is Haku and Tama, the Islanders. They should have been the tag team champions at some point.
In that era?
Yeah, in that era. They had good matches with the fucking Rockers. They had good matches with the Rougeos. They had good matches with the Bushwhackers. Like,
I understand that, but I don't know if they should have been the champ.
no, I think they should have had a run at the champs, even if it run as the champions, even if it was a short one. Just to screw a babyface team out of the title or something. You know, you
Like,
got the Islanders with Bobby Heenan. That's a great act.
It is, but I don't know if I'd put them over, like, Strike Force, the Hearts, or Demolition.
That's why they're underrated.
I know.
I think that. Okay, all right. Let's say the Hearts is baby faces, or Demolition as baby faces, like you were talking about with Hogan and Savage. I think that they should have had a run as the champs from Saturday Night's Main Event to Saturday Night's Main Event.
Okay, maybe.
Like a short reign, as they didn't have bad matches. Like they were always on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just think that team's underrated, and again, they might be underrated because of the fact of what you brought up in that era. You said in that era, like they were a great tag team in the biggest sea of great tag teams ever fucking put together. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I'm not saying they're not underrated. I just don't know if I would have seen them with the belts.
I think that maybe if they wouldn't have had Bobby as their manager, maybe I could say that. But I think that with Bobby as their manager, to be the fucking, you know, elbowing you in the ribs manager, to take the titles from a babyface champion tag team for 3 or 4 months, I think they could have done a great job with the belts.
Maybe.
They were the Samoans reincarnated before the Head Shrinkers. You know?
Yeah.
That's all I got on that.
Okay. So, next on my list would be, and I'm gonna pick this team because it's it really directly goes into what you just said, is the Faces of Fear.
They're on my list.
Not anymore, they aren't.
Haku and the Barbarian. Man, those guys were consistent. They were consistent as fuck in WCW in the mid-90s. Like, what, 96, 97, 98? They were consistent as fuck.
And if you listen to the stories of what people say about them, terrifying motherfuckers. Like, Mang, if he didn't like you, would just eat your nose and rip out an eyeball.
Yeah, just, there you go. Here's your body parts for dinner.
Yeah. And then if you watch episodes of Nitro, fucking Barbarian would just take a guy and
throw him
at Haku and just see if Haku would catch him.
They had great matches with Nash and Hall, Harlem Heat, the Blue Bloods, you name it. I dare anybody. High Voltage, like even squashing High Voltage, Haku and Barbarian were impressive. I dare anybody to go watch a Faces of Fear match and tell me, damn, maybe not, again, back to what we were saying earlier, maybe you're not going to say that was 5 stars, but you're not going to tell me it was a shitty match. Because those two were pros. They made it look real. And they should have had a run with the WCW belts. Like I said, the Islanders should have with the WWF belts.
The Faces of Fear should have been the WCW Tag Team Champions.
Absolutely.
Forever. Like, they should have won them on September 7th, 1995. Or whatever Nitro began. And then lost them. Or not even lost them. Just held them until fucking April 7th. Or whatever the last Nitro was. Fucking Faces of Fear were the goddamn shit.
You will get no disagreement here, my brother.
And the best part was they would beat the fuck out of people, and then they just play that soothing music at the end of it.
And talk shit in a language you didn't understand.
It would be like, but like the soothing fucking rainforest music would be playing, and they just be like butter butter butter.
So next on my list, because we agree on the Faces of Fear, is another team I wish would have got a run with the tag team titles. And I wish they would have beat Demolition for the tag team titles, even though I love Demolition. Underrated tag team, main event performers. We're going to meet one of them this Saturday, the Twin Towers. Bossman, Akeem, and Slick was a fantastic fucking wrestling act.
Yes, it was.
And
that was a great gimmick.
Bossman, we've discussed on this show before, is one of the best big men ever. Akeem, say what you want about One Man Gang / Akeem / whatever. That dude was fucking cool. Like,
yeah,
that gimmick was cool. People dog it now. Or Meltzer would dog it, and fuck Meltzer, you know. Akeem was entertaining. Slick, Bossman, Akeem. Those two gimmicks didn't even fucking go together. Like, if you think about it outside, like, it's awkward. Uh-oh.
Sorry, what?
Twin Towers are underrated. They don't get talked about enough.
Sorry.
Two great performers with a great manager. In what some wrestling elitists would call a silly wrestling gimmick, but what I call fucking gold. And you can go fuck yourself if you don't like the Twin Towers. Go fuck yourself.
Fucking Akeem being like, I'm gonna be the first black.
He went on Arsenio.
And a black man going, he's going to be the first black world heavyweight champion. And then a fat, white hillbilly defending them. None of these people should be together.
But they were great together.
But every single one of them believed that this shit is the way it is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
That is fucking the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers was Slick. His ultimate heat.
Yes, and they had a great feud with Hogan
when
and Savage.
When those three people walk out together, or at least I shouldn't say when, like not now you wouldn't, but at the time when those three people would walk out together, you got all the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Black people would be mad because Slick, who's an African American, is walking around with these two white guys. Okay?
And he's put one of them in a dashiki.
Yeah. And then some other white people would get mad because this white officer of the law is saying this guy's alright, and he's walking with a black guy. And now there's a white guy that's telling you that he's black, and he's going to be the first African American champion. Now, white people that don't like black people are going to be mad because this white guy's saying he's black, and now the black people are going to be mad because this white guy saying he's the first African American champion, and they're going to be mad at Slick because he's a black guy, and he's saying, "Oh man, he shouldn't be supporting this white guy that says he's black." It's fucking amazing.
It is, and they had a great feud. We talked about before in the history of this show.
And they had
one of the great rivalries in wrestling history is Hogan Savage, leading to WrestleMania 5. These two guys were the heels that they feuded with during that build.
And they have the third best wrestling theme ever.
And Akeem falls out of the fucking ring.
That shit I showed you where he was on Arsenio Hall.
Yes, getting it.
And they played Sledgehammer or whatever, and he starts dancing. He fucking lived the gimmick, man. It was great.
So there you go, Twin Towers. On my list of underrated tag teams. Alright, so that's the Twin Towers. Aaron, who's next on your list?
The next one on my list would be the Orient Express.
They were also on my list. The Orient Express / Bad Company. One of my favorite tag team matches is from the 1991 Royal Rumble. It's the Orient Express and the Rockers. And that match will be forever in my mind one of those matches I watch at least 2 to 3 times a year just to watch the match. Like, it's tag team.
Yeah.
It's like butter on bread. It's amazing. And they're amazing.
Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond, great tag team.
Absolutely. I'm not as familiar with their stuff as the Bad Company, but I've seen enough of it to know that the greatness was there even before Paul Diamond put on the mask. You know, a fantastic tag team. Crisp, smooth. I'm sure Pat Tanaka wasn't offered the main event of WrestleMania or whatever, but
yeah, he entertained millions.
Entertained millions, he did.
And I've decided to go through and watch early ECW because we didn't have that growing up, you know.
Yeah.
And those guys in ECW, they, in like 94, had really good matches. And in the 90s, the early 90s in WWF, when the Orient Express came out, I paid attention. I enjoyed Kato and Tanaka with Fuji. And I just really liked the Orient Express.
Great tag team. I dare you to find a bad tag team match that either one of them ever had. And I'm not going to say either one of them ever had a bad singles match. I think they are definitely tag team wrestlers, but as a tag team, they were fantastic.
Yes.
Another team that I think is underrated, next on my list, and I almost think it's because of the time period, because business was down, and they just don't get enough recognition. That's the Quebecers.
Oh, they were on my list.
Well, there you go. Jacques and Raymond, especially when they were with Johnny Polo.
Johnny Polo.
Yes, sir. Raven. But those guys had amazing matches, amazing charisma, fucking amazing heels. The only thing that ever happened with the Quebecers that was bad was when they put them on commentary on Raw.
Yeah. I'm a Jacques Rougeau fan.
Me too.
I know he's supposedly, I shouldn't say no, supposedly he's hated in the wrestling business because he has a big mouth or whatever. But if you just go wrestling wise, I'm a huge Jacques Rougeau fan. I love the Mountie character. Like before he became, a Quebecer with Pierre, I enjoy the Mountie character. I think the Mountie character is an underrated character in wrestling.
Yes.
Like, this might be stupid, but I think if the Mountie character would have been portrayed properly and booked properly, could have been the honky tonk man of the 90s.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. A lot.
Yeah.
Over the top, braggadocious.
Yeah. Like the honky tonk man's character was a Elvis impersonator who had no idea who Elvis was.
Mm-hmm.
The Mountie could have been I am the Mountie, but then had no idea what a fucking Mountie was.
Right.
It's like, oh no, I'm not making fun of the Mounties. I don't know what you're talking about. That type of thing. And then you give him a fat one with no eye. It makes it better.
They had great matches with the Steiners.
Yeah.
It's funny because I almost liken them to. It's gonna sound silly until I explain it. You talk about a boom period, the 1980s boom period, and you have Demolition. And then business cools off and business settles down, and the consistent tag team during that down period, much like Demolition during the up period, was the Quebecers. They were like the down period Demolition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They had great matches with Brett and Owen, 1, 2, 3 Kid and Marty Jannetty. The Steiner brothers, who they passed the torch to in a way. They were, and in the early 6 to 18 months of Raw, you look at Raw in 1994, the Quebecers were the main event. They were the big deal on Raw. When shows were divided up still, kind of territory style, where, this guy's on Superstars, and this guy's on Challenge, and this guy's featured on this show. The Quebecers were like the lifeblood of Raw for 6 or 8 months.
Yeah.
Just an amazing, charismatic tag team. Totally underrated.
I'd agree.
Next on your list?
The Blue Bloods.
Eaton and Regal?
Yep. I can't talk.
Robert of Eaton.
Yeah.
And Lord
Bobby
Steven
Eaton
Regal.
and Steve Regal.
2 of the great hands, 2 of the great workers ever in wrestling, teaming together with Bill Dundee as their manager. Crazy, stupid, great.
Sir Robert, the Earl of Eaton.
Hey, that's it. The Earl of Eaton.
Yes.
Technically, I don't know if you're going to find the Hart Foundation, but technically, I don't know if you're going to find a better tag team than the Hart Foundation.
Nope. And Bobby, the reason that I would put them on my list is they had great skits.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a downtime in WCW where it was just WCW was putting out pure shit, okay? And to an even lesser extent, WWE wasn't putting out the WWF wasn't putting out the best stuff either. But in 94, 95, fucking Steven Regal and Bobby Eaton putting out great shit.
Lighten it up.
Whether it was in the ring or just fucking stupid promos, they were great.
Great heels, great matches. And
Like Regal and Eaton would have like their manservant go out there with them, and Regal would like smack him around.
as Dusty Rhodes called him, jives.
Yeah, like Regal would smack Jives around and like push him to the ground, and then Bobby was just like a nice hillbilly, and he'd be like, "Oh man," and he'd like pick him up. You know, it was good shit, and it was super entertaining. And then they'd get in the ring and they'd have a great fucking match
With anybody.
with anybody. They had good fucking matches with Public Enemy.
And it was even good when Dave Taylor was added to the mix.
Yeah,
That
was
guy.
good shit. Squire David Taylor was good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So the next team on my list is a more recent team, and I think that they're underrated. The reason I say they're underrated is because it's a modern team, and maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe modern wrestling fans would say they're rated exactly as they should be. But because most of my conversation happens in circles of people that watched wrestling in the 80s and 90s, and in those conversations, I don't think these guys get enough attention as a fantastic tag team.
Talking about the Bushwhackers?
No, I'm talking about the Bar. Sheamus and Cesaro.
Oh, they work great together.
Those guys are fucking fantastic together.
Peas and carrots, man.
Yes. And I just don't... I think that the reason I say underrated is that they don't come up in conversations enough today. But I think 10 years from now, people are going to look back and say that is one of the best tag teams ever. They're just...
I've seen them live together. I've seen them on TV together.
Mm-hmm.
And their little... I shouldn't say little, but their like entrance together, it fucking works.
Yes, and I mean, Sheamus... It's funny because Sheamus wasn't... Like, when he first came on the scene, he wasn't a guy I thought was going to be really good. And he absolutely was. And Cesaro, I mean, nobody can deny Cesaro in the modern era of wrestling is one of the best wrestlers ever. And I just think as a tag team, I mean, even the beginning of their team was one of the better stories that WWE has told in 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, these two guys feuding, and then they realize, well, fuck, we're both badass. Let's team up together. And yeah, I really like the Bar, and I don't think that because older wrestling fans in the modern era like to hate on modern wrestling, I don't think the Bar gets enough credit for how really fucking good they are, or were.
Okay. The fuck?
If there's nothing else on them, who's next on your list?
Next on my list is the Smoking Guns. The reason I put them on there, okay, is because tell me from like 1993 until 1995 a more consistent tag team act than those guys.
There might not be one.
There isn't. And I have put this on here I put this out a while back. I think, honestly, Bart Gunn, if you take away the fucking brawl for all shit or whatever, Bart Gunn is an underrated fucking professional wrestler. And I think if you go with like 1995, I don't want to say it, maybe not 95. Go when the Smoking Guns come into the WWF, alright?
Mm-hmm.
They're riding their horses, doing their shit. And then they become the champions. So, the Smoking Guns win the titles. And then they were the consistent, great tag team in that division. From when they won them in like 93, and they came in riding their fucking bulls and all that shit. The Smoking Guns were consistent and were really good.
I would say in that era of WWF Tag Team Wrestling, you're right. I don't know. For me, hindsight, the Smoking Guns don't really do anything for me, and I know. I mean, honestly, I can say you're a bigger fan of Bart than I am. I don't know. And I'm not trying to shit on what you're saying, but the Guns for me now, it's different. You know, back then I was like, oh, those are the WWF Tag Team Champions. They're cool. I don't find myself particularly intrigued with the Guns until 96 when they're about to split.
That's fine. But I really enjoy the Smoking Guns.
They did have They did have good matches with Owen and Bulldog, I'll say that.
Like, I enjoy Billy Gunn, okay? And people can say what they want to say about it, but as a pure wrestling match, I'd rather watch Billy Gunn team with Bart Gunn than I'd rather watch Billy Gunn team with the Road Dogg. Are they more charismatic together? And are they funnier because they're making like, oh, I got a inflatable dick. That's funnier. But Billy Gunn and Road Dogg teaming together is not as a athletically gifted tag team as Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn teaming together to fight fucking Yokozuna and Owen Hart.
Right.
It doesn't tell me that same story.
I'll agree with that.
I would too. That's why I said it.
So next on my list is Jimmy Del Rey, Dr. Tom Pritchard, the Heavenly Bodies.
Heavenly Bodies.
God damn it. That's another team, much like the Islanders, that I think deserved a at least short run as heel tag team champions. Like, I'm going to be honest with everybody. I was hoping at SummerSlam 93, Aaron just talked about the Smoking Guns. I wanted the Heavenly Bodies to win those tag team championships. Those guys were a fantastic tag team.
But Shawn Michaels said they were stinky.
Yeah, well, they were stinky. That's fine. But I almost put the Heavenly Bodies with the Blue Bloods in that they were the working tag team that should have been the champs, but were not.
I'd agree.
And I don't know if you have anything else on those guys, but I love the Heavenly Bodies, both Smoky Mountain Wrestling and the WWF, and I think they're vastly underrated. And I mean, honestly, they probably didn't get their chance because they were just, somebody Vince was borrowing from Smoky Mountain to get Jim Cornette to be in the WWF. But
yeah.
Those guys are great. And Yeah, I really like that tag team, and I fear that they are severely underrated.
I agree.
So who's next on your list?
I have 2 teams left, and
So
then
do I.
done. The next team on my list is the British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
I didn't put them on my list not because I don't love them, but because I don't think they're underrated.
I think they are.
I think they get credit. I mean, I think people bring them up enough where I don't believe that they are underrated as a tag team. I think that they get enough love, you know. I don't know, and maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't see it like I do, but
I think they get enough love as being personalities, but I don't think they get enough love as a tag team.
But man, they were good. God. Is there anything that, I mean, I know I always say that the thing that makes me smile the most in wrestling is watching Eddie Guerrero. I say that consistently. But probably the second thing that makes me smile the most in watching wrestling is watching Owen and Bulldog. Like watching Owen run in front of Bulldog with his 2 slammies. And, you know, just Bulldog enjoying his fucking brother-in-law. Like, it almost brings a tear to your eye now. But, much like Eddie. But, yeah, I mean, again, and I'm not disagreeing with you, like, as far as them as a team, I just don't know. I think they get enough love where I just don't regard them as underrated. I think that they get enough credit.
I do.
Yeah?
I think they're underrated.
Alright.
I'm gonna give you the last tag team.
We're never gonna disagree on the fact that they're one of the best.
Okay.
So my second to last, and I know this isn't on your list, so I know I'm not spoiling your number 1.
Okay.
The number 2 for me is Paul London and Brian Kendrick. God damn it.
The Hooligans.
Yes. I am a huge mark for both Paul London and Brian Kendrick. And their team, I mean, yes, they had a year or something run as SmackDown Tag Team Champions. But it was during a time where WWE was not focused on tag team wrestling. But I dare you to go back and watch any London Kendrick tag team title defense during that period, 2005, 2006, and find me a bad fucking match, because those 2 guys were fucking fire in that time. And they do not get enough credit for carrying the tag division in the 2005 era of the WWE. I love that team.
Alright.
And some of the best matches I've ever seen involved London and Kendrick and Akio and whatever the fuck they were called at that time. God damn it. Like, one of my favorite matches ever is Paul London and Akio. And, what? Oh.
Okay. I got one more tag team.
Yes, me too.
Oh, you too?
Me too. My number 1, without a doubt, underrated tag team ever. Doesn't get enough attention.
Is you too?
No.
It's Christian and Edge. Or Bono and Edge. Anyway. I got one more. And
put your fucking passion into it.
Oh, don't yell at me.
Put your fucking passion into it.
Okay. My last one would be Doug Furnas and Philip LaFon. I think those guys, if the WWF would have been legit interested in them, that Doug Furnas and Philip LaFon could have been the biggest thing they ever had.
I disagree. They were boring.
Okay, you could say they're boring.
They are.
But if the WWF would have went with them and made them, they could have been the Steiner Brothers version for the WWF. You got this little guy that's sawed off and fucking pissed, which would have been LaFon.
Did you see their promos?
I'm just saying.
We're good.
If the WWF would have got behind them, Furnas and LaFon could have been a big fucking deal.
I don't know.
Well, nobody asked you.
What the fuck? There's two of us on a podcast.
I'm ready for bed.
Michael Herrick. Save me. Nobody asked me.
Nobody asked Michael Herrick either. He needs to go to bed.
He might be listening to this at 2 in the afternoon, though.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't like Philip LaFon and Doug Furnas.
Guess who doesn't give a fuck either?
Kenny Omega?
Me.
Because he's making a lot more money than I am because I can't wrestle.
And I can't wrestle.
Alright, well, Mr.
We
Co-host.
can't wrestle.
Mr. Co-host, if you need to go to bed so bad, we're not going to debate this.
Okay.
So we'll just go on to my number one underrated tag team of all time. Booker
Your
T,
face, my ass.
Booker T and Goldust.
Oh, they're funny.
Man, you talk about entertaining. Two good workers. Something that when it started, you were like, what the fuck is going on? And then when it ended, you were like, why the fuck did it end?
Why didn't it go on more?
Exactly. Those two guys are guys that got paired up because the WWE creative didn't have anything else for them. And boy, oh boy, did they show those motherfuckers what it is.
Yeah.
Man, like from the promos together, to the matches together, to the entrance together. Like, watch their entrance at SummerSlam 2002 and tell me you don't feel passion for professional wrestling. Booker T and Goldust are the most unlikely team ever, and they are the most underrated team ever. Because they were fucking fantastic together.
They were.
And they're up there with Eddie, man. They make me smile. And Bulldog and Owen. God, it makes me smile. So Aaron has to work tomorrow, so we're going to let him go
Okay.
have some sleepy time.
Yeah.
But we want to thank everybody for joining us here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast this week. It was a great show, I think.
Possibly.
Listen to this mofo.
Okay. I'm gonna turn the stuff off.
Alright, Aaron, you leave us. And we are going to let everybody else go to. Thank you for joining us on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And we will see you next week for another edition. I don't know what the topic's going to be. It doesn't matter. Because it's going to be great. Aaron, say hasta la vista, motherfuckers.
Hasta la vista, motherfuckers.
All right.
And
hang up.
maybe our topic will be great Hispanic midget wrestlers
See.
that traveled the sea.
All right.
Adios.
Adios, amigos. And thank you for joining us this week on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Aaron signing off, and we will see you next time for the greatest wrestling podcast you can possibly imagine. Oh, did you hear that? Aaron just hung up on my ass. This motherfucker. I don't want to leave the show with an F-bomb. Thank you for joining me and Aaron for the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We will see you next week for whatever topic we discuss is going to be. And don't forget to check out our friends at the Asylum, The Era, the CWF Wrestling Legends Fan Fest in Florida, and everybody else that supports this show. Thank you for joining us. That's it. The We Can't Wrestle podcast is in the books for this week. And we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.